supporters, doubters? Obviously, you had family. Your dad was in the
Right.
business. Like, what was some of those conversations like for the people that are, truly impact? I mean, that's a big decision, right? With the little ones, and at that time, the first time around 08, but then 2011, 10, 12 coming out of it. That's when I got in was 2011.
Yeah.
Um, what were some of those conversations like? Because there may be some people listening in that are like on the fence, right? And they just, they're afraid to make that leap of faith.
It's exactly what it is. You just nailed it. It's a leap of faith. It was literally talking to my wife and saying, I know this could go wrong, but I think it could go right too. Um, I said, I got to do it. I got to try. And it literally was just cutting or ripping off that Band-Aid and, saying, hey, look, I'm throwing caution to the wind. There's bigger plans. And, I hope everything I've done to this point in my life is going to get me to that next stage. But it literally was kind of rolling the dice, hoping for the best.
Yeah. What were some of the so 20 was it 2011, 2012 is when you fully jumped in. Now, when you were
12, yeah.
before, okay. And before that year before that, were you kind of doing real estate on the side, or were you still just all in on the photography stuff?
I was relicensed because I actually let my license lapse.
Okay.
So I was relicensed in May of 12. Of course, all I had to do was take the test.
Sure.
It's still valid. The tests or the classes are still valid. Um, and man, I think I had a couple things in the works prior, but not a ton. It really came down to I'm just going to go full force into it and see what happens. And you got to trust your sphere of influence. I thought this is probably the biggest thing that if anybody's going to take anything away from it that's on the fence, I thought changing careers meant changing everybody that knew me
Mm,
for what I do. Do you
mm,
know what I'm saying? Like I was
mm-hmm.
known as a photographer, so people could hire me as a photographer, and everybody that I worked with, all my colleagues and clients and students all knew me as a photographer. So if I ever went to them for photography work, it made sense. But if I ever approached them for real estate work, how are they going to know that I even know what I'm doing? Um,
Right.
so it boils down to three things: know, like, and trust. And all of those people in every facet of my prior career, they knew me, they liked me, and trusted me. So they all made that switch with me, and it went seamless. I can't tell you how many past. In fact, I'm working with one right now, a past student that has come to me for real estate needs. Several others have past colleagues and clients that I used to shoot for have also come to me for real estate needs. So, if you've set yourself up with a good sphere of influence, don't be afraid.
I want to dive into that a little bit because, I help a lot of agents just from our team. We like to, attract newer agents to our team. And that thing that you mentioned about, you know, getting from the photography, seeing you as the photographer, right, to now you're the real estate agent. And I don't know if you did anything differently, but can you dive into that piece? Like, how did you get them to switch from seeing you in the light of the photographer to now, John knows his stuff about being, in the real estate space and in the business, and we do trust him with real estate because I think a lot of people struggle with that identity, right? And a lot of sphere of influence struggle with that identity.
So, who do you think is struggling with it more? Do you think it's the agent struggling with it, or do you think it's the actual sphere of influence struggling with it?
I think that's a great question. I think sometimes agents are afraid to put themselves out there in the real estate space, right? Because it's outside of our comfort zone, right?
That's
It's not
right.
what we're used to.
That's exactly it. The sphere of influence has nothing to do with what you're doing. It's know, liking, and trusting them. And
Mm,
if you have that trust, that's what's important in real estate. It's not that I know everything, but they trust me that I will find out in the beginning, that I will find out what the right thing is and the right
yeah.
answer is and how to guide them appropriately.